they came. It's the perfect time for winter fishing. It is especially beautiful when you have your own house somewhere outside the city, next to a small river full of all kinds of fish. 3 friends in an old Jeep were just making their way to that cabin. Tommy was the owner of a private, country house, a fierce fisherman, a man in his 30s, looking like a typical, bearded wrestler. Oscar is a young man in his 25s who likes to spend his time doing something useful. Ben is a photographer with glasses, takes photos of all sorts of scenery, about the same age as Tommy. All 3 of them were in a great mood. It seemed as if nothing was going to ruin this wonderful day. Absolutely nothing. It took them an hour to get to the cabin. Slippery roads, traffic jams in places, and a thick layer of snow somewhere, the usual road problems in Alaska, and even more so in the wooded area. Regardless, the trio was still satisfied. After unpacking the bags, Tommy lit the fireplace, and the 3 of them settled around the warm fire. "We'll get some rest after the road," Tommy says, contentedly, "and then we'll go fishing." "That's right." Oscar takes a sip of his beer. "I'm wondering, Oscar, what are you doing in Alaska? I thought you liked clubs and dancing and naked chicks." "I'm sick of it all. I just want to spend my time in a quiet, productive way." "Doesn't sound like you," Ben remarked, looking at the fire. Oscar sniggered. "Are you here for the pictures?" the young man asked. "Sort of. And do a little fishing too." "I didn't know you liked fishing too?" Oscar was surprised. "Yes, I do." Tommy watched their conversation in silence, taking large gulps of the bitter drink. "My dad was a fisherman," Ben said. "Sometimes he used to take me fishing. That's why I like it too." "That's cool." Oscar leaned back in his chair. "I rarely went fishing at all." "How was that?" Tommy put the bottle of beer down. "Well, okay, I guess." Tommy and Ben started chuckling. "What's so funny?" Oscar asked. "Your insecurity in your voice says otherwise." Through his laughter, Tommy said, "Fuck you. Don't be offended." Ben reassured the boy. After a short rest, the 3 of them put on their winter coats again, took their fishing gear, and went to the lake. Fortunately, it was not far, a 5-minute walk. Having arrived at the lake, friends settled down on the lake, each made a hole, half a meter away from the other, and silently started fishing. Tommy looked only at the hole, Ben at the horizon, and Oscar looked around every now and then. There weren't many fish, and they were medium-sized, but they could be fried with some kind of garnish, and they could eat with a beer. After a long fishing trip, the trio returned to the house. Everyone was happy with their catch. Ben took all the catch, and went into the kitchen to make something to eat. Tommy and Oscar went to the fireplace to wait for their dinner. Meanwhile, it was snowing lightly. Tommy looked out the window. "The weather's going to turn bad tonight," the bearded man remarked. Oscar looked out the window too, and nodded silently. "The sky is now completely dark, and you can even see the stars. Among them you can see one in particular. Quite bright and moving quickly across the sky. Many would think it was a shooting star. But no. It was a cylindrical spaceship. It was falling to the ground at a rapid speed. The ship fell with a resounding thud. Everything around it shook. Even the snow from the trees fell. The flying machine fell flat, but only the engine came to an end. 2 furry creatures of great height emerged from the craft. Their faces could not be seen. Only their palms were covered with skin. Each had a belt with a single device that looked like a sensor. One of the 2 looked around the ship, then turned his gaze to his kin. The other pointed toward the forest. Both nodded satisfactorily. They saw an orange light in the forest. And the light was coming from inside the house. The furry monsters headed toward the house. The trio sat quietly by the fireplace, sipping beer. It was business as usual. But their tranquility was interrupted by an earthquake and a power outage. Now only the fireplace was the source of light. "Fucking hell. barked Tommy. That's just fucked up. What the fuck was that? Oscar asked, dumbfounded. Maybe just an earthquake? Maybe. Oscar looked at the door and who's going to go inspect the generator? Tommy and Ben looked at the guy. Why me? Don't argue and go. Tommy took a flashlight out of his bag. Oscar just shrugged, took the flashlight, put on his jacket, and went outside. The snow was already falling heavily. Nothing could be seen further than an arm's length away. The guy turned on his flashlight, walked around the house, and came to the generator. After a close look, Oscar realized there was nothing wrong with it. But clearly there was a catch. A crunch of snow was heard behind his back. Oscar turned around and drove the beam of his flashlight. Who was there? The crunch of snow again. Hey! The crunch kept increasing. Stop kidding around. A furry beast came running out of the darkness. Oscar did not have time to run away, not even to scream, before the monster's four-toed paw broke his jaw. A second creature just like it appeared. It grabbed the guy by the neck and, like a spear, hurled him into the darkness. Just into the tree that Oscar had smashed his face against. Where the hell is Oscar? Tommy was indignant. He should have been here a long time ago. Maybe it's a serious breakdown. Ben suggested. The bearded man sighed heavily. I'll go and check, he said. You want me to go with you? No, I'll do it alone. Tommy put on his jacket and went outside. Oscar, what the fuck are you doing? With those words, Tommy walked around the corner of the house. There was silence in response. Oscar? Oscar, fuck. The bearded man was getting closer and closer to the generator. Once he got close enough, he saw no one. Oscar. Fuck. Tommy cursed softly. And just as he was about to turn around and walk back home, his head immediately shattered like an egg under the onslaught of the furry creature's palms. The skull and teeth turned to crumbs, and everything inside became a bloody mess. The body fell to the snow, staining it scarlet. Ben began to worry about his friends. And Tommy was missing somewhere now. He kept hesitating to go out and look, but he soon got over himself. The photographer had just thrown on his jacket when he noticed someone's silhouette in the window. Oscar? Tommy? Ben called out to them. Silence. Ben went to the door and cautiously opened it. A scream of horror made it give out. Outside the old Jeep stood two furry behemoths. One was holding some sort of sensor in his hand. The other was just standing there. But they turned their attention to the man. Ben instantly closed the doors and crouched down. But that didn't save him from an imminent fate. The hand of one of the monsters pierced through the man's stomach. Before he gave up the breath, Ben looked at the creature's bloody hand with the remains of his rectum, and only then did Ben finally die. While his kin was dealing with the strange screaming creature, the second monster was already taking the engine out of the Jeep. I had to break the hood to get it out. They looked at each other and nodded contentedly. In a steady step, they returned to their craft and made the replacements, throwing out the unnecessary and broken parts. After that, they returned to the machine. The ship hummed, beeped, and lifted off. Hovered in the air for a few seconds, and then instantly disappeared into the sky. The parts and corpses of the three lonely men would be found someday. If, of course, they would search for them.